Imagine a world where your social worth isn't determined by your charm, ambition, drive, but by the distance between your cheekbones and the angle of your jaw and the density of your eyebrows.
Where are we getting our influence from? Right now, my classmates are listening to a lot of podcast pros who tell us to put ourselves first, to focus on our jawlines, our body count, instead of how we can help others. And the solution to that is in 2026, let's listen more to Jesus than we listen to podcast pros. Let's open the Bible more than we open social media.
Somewhere online, a 17-year-old's jawline got rated like stock. A 20-year-old live streamed injecting peptides into his girlfriend.
I hear you got the plug for those fresh Stacy's. Hit me up here in Tel Aviv if you ever want audit.
Dude, I can already see clips. Clav injects meth on think they're going crazy.
Chat, we're Looksmaxxing her. It's all good. Dr. Clav? Yeah.
Discord moderators sighed in existential despair. Calipers, syringes, and teen subscribers all collided in a spectacle so bizarre it feels like a B-directed movie by a beauty-obsessed mad scientist. So let's talk about Looksmaxxing and why does it all feel like eugenics made a TikTok account and showed up wearing a MAGA hat? Real quick, I'm Lauren Paritra, and I very much need to maintain my lead on Katie Miller and subscriber count because somehow I'm ahead without having to ever ruin everyone's life with my podcast or traumatize families by ripping them apart. So please subscribe, hit that notifications bell, turn notifications on. We cannot let the wife of Stephen Little Bitch Miller get ahead of us. Okay, back to it. So if this Looksmaxxing stuff sounds super absurd, you're correct. The reality is now a relentless improv show in Discord and TikTok arenas where teens judge their friends' cheekbones. But here, the margin of error is your social worth, and the dividends are validations from strangers who have never touched grass. And then we got to get into the PSL scale. The PSL scale measures facial attractiveness across 46 features: eyebrow density, chin prominence, nasal labial folds. It's your face as if it was a tax form. And one misfiled contour could ruin your life.
It's been awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Looksmaxxing, I think, is something that's essentially just the highest ROI activity for men. It's something that you could leap the most percentiles in, and it's going to carry the most benefit on your life, right? You know, people are going to judge you immediately based on your looks. This is called the halo effect. Everything is going to be perceived a lot better when you're more attractive as a male. Whether it be job interviews, whether it be women, it really does.
So moderators like Meep calculate your PSL score with the seriousness of NASA engineers launching a rocket.
Does Nick Fuentes mog?
Nick does mog. He wouldn't have the reach that he had if he didn't mog. You could be as charismatic and as well-spoken as you want, which he is. He's one of the most well-spoken people I've ever encountered on the internet. But if you're not good-looking, if you don't have that to come with it, nobody gives a shit. They're just gonna think you're some crazy lunatic on the internet. Whereas he says a lot of crazy points, but since he's so well put together, and not only with the way that he dresses, his suit, it seems a lot more reasonable. Like, hey, you know, maybe this guy's onto something.
Only this rocket is made of cheekbones, hairlines, and existential dread. And the top tier, True Atom, is reserved for one person per 12 billion humans. Only one per 12 billion. That's pressure for everyone else's nasal labial folds. And here's where it gets really juicy. There's a massive overlap between Looksmaxxing communities and the MAGA world.
This is the year of the lock-in. And I said this a couple weeks ago. This is the year of the non-negotiable lock-in. This is the year we are all ascending. I want all of you to be Looksmaxxing. Now, I don't endorse the use of drugs. I'm not doing any of that. But this is the year. I don't want to catch anybody not mewing. Lean is the law. This is the year that we are all ascending. Okay, we're doing what we need to do to increase our looks, our money, our power. That's my call to action. All the high schoolers, college students, this is the year of the lock-in. We have to become superhuman.
Because when you spend all day obsessing and rating men's faces on a 1 to 10 scale and fixating on genetic superiority, it's just a really short jump onto other ideologies obsessed with genetic hierarchies. So the same logic that makes some people declare political opponents losers applies to sub-5 jawlines. Fail to optimize, fail to ascend. Influencers like the worst person ever, Andrew Tate, teach that masculinity, moral worth, and social power can all be measured in cheekbone prominence and clavicle width. It's the same type of thinking that makes you wonder if somebody left a copy of the bell curve in a Planet Fitness locker room once.
I would never do this,
but I've seen you do it, and I've seen other kids are starting to do it. The hammer to the cheek.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is that?
So that's bone smashing, and that is based off a principle called Wolff's Law. And basically what that means is when you create trauma to a bone, it actually grows back stronger, right? So you're inducing these localized microfractures, typically on your zygos, which are your cheekbones. And the idea behind that is you're going to make them bigger, more projected, and give your face a little bit more angularity.
Okay, so you would recommend that to, like, who needs to do that? Do I need to do that?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who wants more projected cheekbones. Then
Does that not hurt, or is it not any not downside? Is there any negatives to that?
Well, there could be if done improperly.
And then online incel adjacent accounts have really rebranded to avoid these Looksmaxxing bans. So now teens are being sold scientific self-improvement, which is really just another way of being misogynistic, but making it sound a little bit more medicinal. And totally full of white nationalist talking points. It's all about Eurocentric standards of beauty, genetic quality, and they're treating human attractiveness like it's a video game where they can min-max their way through, completely missing the real problem. And that the real problem isn't their canthal tilt, it's that they've joined a cult that measures human worth in millimeters. Redditors share trauma stories that sound like satire fiction. Xavier, who's 17 years old, had his jawline ratio roasted at lunch like a Costco rotisserie chicken. Gio, also 17, swears his cheekbones improved after listening to True Eve subliminals. Slideshows of perfect women set to electronic music. I am not kidding here. Meanwhile, Discord moderators hand out personalized soft maxing regimens. We're talking about eyebrow routines, deltoid hypertrophy, neck thickening, and if you're really, really, really committed, Bimax double jaw surgery. Claviculars live stream push things into full on bio horror territory.
Again, like you test and bone smash. Can you get a pump? Can you get a pump? Get a pump.
We need a photo.
Can you give him a pump? I don't want a pump. Are you on Twitch?
Are you ready?
We're talking about peptide syringes, commentary about jawline softness, collided like a beauty tutorial directed by Quentin Tarantino. This is where we've ended up here. The manosphere and cosmetic surgery made it everyone's problem because now you can just for like $20K fly to Turkey and return with a whole new face and body. Looksmaxxing ranges from harmless skincare to reshaping your skull with DIY techniques that would make a medieval barber surgeon say, maybe we should just take this a little, so maybe we should pump the brakes here.
Two areas right here. All right. I'm just going to start hammering at this. I'm just going to be doing a shorter version. Normally I do it 5 minutes on each side, so 10 minutes in total. I'm just going to do it short now. Yeah, you got to brace your head. It's that side.
Here. Teens are experimenting with growth hormones, cosmetic surgeries, and facial exercises that look like somebody is doing yoga in a horror movie. And then there's hashtags like PSI gods, mogging, and bone smashing, and mewing, and they have billions of views. Vanity has become super ritualistic, and your face is both an altar and something to be sacrificed. So both MAGA culture and Looksmaxxing communities share that same delulu, that there's this secret hierarchy keeping them weighed down, and that the solution to ascending involves obsessing over completely arbitrary measurements of superiority, and that women and elites are somehow to blame for all of men's problems. It's the same victim complex that fuels everything from election denial to believing your jawline is why you're single and dying alone, just with different calipers. And the progression and the progressive response, maybe we should be teaching kids that their worth isn't determined by their bone structure or genetic lottery, and that communities built on rating human value are inherently toxic. So whether they're ranking faces or ranking races, Looksmaxxing is absurd, and it's being sold as a solution. A spreadsheet cannot measure charm, humor, or that unspeakable spark that makes people actually like you, yet millions of teens treat it like life or death. Clavicular, Discord moderators, true Adams, and true Eves, they're all part of a culture where irony, self-loathing, ambition, and needles collide. Somewhere, a 16-year-old is out there measuring his jaw while listening to True Eve subliminals, hoping to ascend to the PSL god status, completely unaware that the real mogging move would be logging off and getting a personality and some friends. And hey, if you enjoyed this roast of teenagers' obsessions with jawlines and telling people that maybe it's not a good idea to slowly calculate your social worth and like these pseudoscience hierarchies that would make eugenics people be like, yeah, that's right. Don't forget to subscribe. Please hit the bell. I need you to turn notifications on. We cannot let Katie Miller's podcast gain any more momentum. Remember, I'm Lauren Paritra. If you want more absurd, tight takedowns of fascist adjacent online content dissected with zero shame, subscribe. Let's not let the MAGA crew seal the chaos and win this one.